Greetings, globeheads and flatheards. As you're watching different videos put out by YouTubers and uh, flat Earth, both flat earthers and flat Earth debunkers, and even when you get into some of these open debates and discussions, I love this non sequitur show. Amazing. You need to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to non sequitur. By the way, they sometimes host some actual debates on there between flat earthers and debunkers, and it's pretty interesting. But as you get into this, one of the things you often hear about is ad hominem. You hear not only ad hominem being used, but you hear the expression and one side accusing the other of ad hominem and everything. But one thing that I've noticed recently is that flat earthers do not understand the definition of ad hominem. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Now, an ad hominem attack is a kind of personal attack, but not every personal attack is an ad hominem attack. And I'm not defending personal attacks. I'm not saying that a personal attack is something you should do during a debate. I will say that sometimes it's hard not to. You know, the term ridiculous exists for a reason. When something is ridiculous because it is worthy of ridicule. Now, it's almost impossible to argue that the idea that we live on a flat earth is not ridiculous. It's a ridiculous idea. And so, because of that, flat earthers will get some ridicule. And while we try to avoid that in a debate, it's really, really hard, especially when people say, well, there's no such thing as gravity. It's really hard not to just say you're an idiot. But not all personal attack is ad hominem. So I want to explain what it means. If you present me with a really, really stupid idea, like there's no such thing as gravity, and I come back with you're an idiot, that's probably not the best argument. It's probably not the most articulate argument. It doesn't really counter your argument, but it's not ad hominem. It's not an ad hominem attack to say you're an idiot because you just said something idiotic. What ad hominem is a personal attack that is aimed at somehow it's aimed to somehow disqualify you and therefore to disqualify your opinion. A personal attack that is determined, its purpose is to undermine your credibility and by that your argument. For example, if I was to say you're a bad person and therefore anything you say has to be wrong, that's an ad hominem attack, and it's really, really an ad hominem argument is a really ridiculous argument because who you are, your quality as a person, does not necessarily undermine what it is you believe. And it's actually flat earthers that use ad hominem all the time. And I want to give you a couple of examples. I was watching a video today, and they brought up the fact that, quote, NASA was founded by a bunch of Nazis. Well, let's examine this attack. It is true that Wernher von Braun was the father of modern day rocketry, was the father of rocketry, period. And he came from Nazi Germany, along with a whole bunch of other scientists. At the end of World War II, Germany was the most advanced country on Earth when it came to the science of rocketry. They were the ones that had developed the first rockets. And so their scientists were in demand to bring that technology to others. And they were going to probably end up either in the Soviet Union or in the United States. So they may as well have ended up here working for us. Now, I don't even know how devoted they were to the Nazi cause. It was one of those things where if you were high up in the German military or you had any clout in German society, you had to be a member of the party. Didn't necessarily mean they were dedicated Nazis. I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm defending them for being Nazis. That's not my point either. But my point is that these people worked for the German military. They're members of the Nazi Party. They came over here and they did their thing for us. Not everybody who worked for NASA at the beginning was a Nazi. Probably not even the majority of them, but a few key figures. But here's the thing. To say that because these guys were Nazis, even if you were to somehow say, hey, they were the ones dropping the little tablets to release the gas and kill millions of people, that still doesn't change the fact that they invented rockets and that we went to space and that we went to the moon. To say, oh, NASA had scientists that were Nazis and therefore we didn't go to the moon, absolutely a ridiculous statement. And a prime example of why ad hominem attacks are not valid arguments. Another example a lot of times I hear all the time is most NASA astronauts are Freemasons. First of all, it's not true. There have been some Freemasons in NASA. It's actually a minority, not the majority. It's a sizable minority, and that would be expected because there's certain things about Freemasonry. They help each other out, and people tend to advance, or at least historically, people advance in their career with the help of fellow Masons and so forth. However, I've never had anybody demonstrate with any evidence anything to me to show that there's anything nefarious about the Masons. I don't know about a whole lot about them. I've never been a member or studied much about Freemasonry, but I've never seen any evidence that they're evil, but somehow we're supposed to dismiss the credibility of anybody who might be associated with that organization. Just because it's secretive and you don't know much about it and you might not qualify to get in, to me, doesn't automatically mean it's nefarious unless you can show me some evidence that the organization has some kind of nefarious intent or actions. I've never seen any evidence of that. The only thing I do know about the Freemasons is that while they don't discriminate against any particular religion or require that you belong to any particular faith or sect, it is my understanding that you cannot join the Masons unless you declare a belief in a creator God. And yet we have people running around acting like, Freemasons worship the devil in a basement of some Masonic lodge where they sacrifice babies. Kind of ridiculous, but let's just assume for the sake of your ad hominem argument that Masons meet in their lodge and sacrifice babies to Satan. That doesn't change the fact that we went to the moon. It's completely irrelevant to the argument of whether or not we went to the moon, and certainly to the argument of whether or not the Earth is round or flat or a globe or a donut. Whether or not there are Masons in NASA completely 100% irrelevant to the shape of the earth. But this ad hominem attack is used to say these guys are Masons and therefore space is fake. It's a completely ridiculous argument. So again, I will try really hard, no promises, not to call you an idiot because you believe the earth is round. But doing so is not an ad hominem attack. Ad hominem is when you tell me that I'm evil and therefore whatever I believe can't be true. It's not only an unfair argument, it's absolutely a ridiculous argument that doesn't hold any water whatsoever.